Hello everyone, Ryan here. So I recently saw an interesting movie titled Wakefield, and it stars Bryan Cranston and Jennifer Garner. Essentially, Bryan Cranston, he plays, I want to say, some kind of high-powered attorney of some kind. And one day, he comes home and he decides that he needs a break from his family, or some kind of vacation away from his family. Of course, he realizes that there's no way that he can approach his wife and tell her this, tell her that he wants a vacation away from his family, without her getting pissed off at him. It's just no possible way that, obviously that she would be okay with that. So instead, when he comes home one evening, he hides out in this kind of like above this room, which is above their garage. The garage is like a separate, one of those garages that's separate from the house. And so he hides out in this room, which is above the garage, where they store a lot of stuff that I guess either that they don't really use or don't really want anymore. And he hides in there. And then, so for that first evening, his wife and kids, 2 daughters, they're expecting him home for dinner as usual, and he doesn't show up. And his wife, of course played by Jennifer Garner, she just automatically assumes that he was cheating on her, I guess because she suspected that before, because a couple times before, he had stayed late at the office. And how that usually goes, I guess, if someone tells their wife that they're staying late at the office, usually their spouse assumes that they're cheating on them. But in this case, he really wasn't cheating on her. He really did just want a break from his family. And I guess also too from the pressures of, I guess you could say, being the breadwinner of the family. It's a very interesting movie, because then eventually what happens is he stays in this above storage room area above their garage. He stays in there. I want to say it's for a period of like a year, or about a year, no more than a year. And in a way, it kind of reminds me of, well, when I was watching it, it reminded me of something along the lines of like what Henry David Thoreau did. He wrote about it in his book, Walden. If you haven't read that, I definitely recommend reading that. But, Henry David Thoreau, he lived, it was sometime during the Gilded Age, I believe, end of the Gilded Age, or rather the beginning of the Industrial Age. And Henry David Thoreau decided to go out into the woods, and he built himself a cabin. And granted, it wasn't like a huge cabin, just barely big enough for one person. And rather, in fact, I believe he found this like old cabin-esque kind of thing. And all he had to do, he purchased it from the previous owner. And all he had to do was repair it. And but anyway, so Henry David Thoreau, he lived out in the woods in his cabin. So that's kind of like what Bryan Cranston's character in this movie reminded me of. He just lives in this small space for a period of about a year and watches his family. There's even some parts where he does get out, because eventually, he does crave human contact. So, he eventually does get out, but late at night, of course, when his family's asleep and nobody can notice him walking around. And it's a very well-written story, I would say, or script. I originally I thought it was like based on some kind of novel or something, but I don't think it is. I mean, I tried to look into it. I don't know. and not only that, but like also too, I mean, the way in which Bryan Cranston portrays this character, you know, he doesn't do it so much in a comical way, but it's done in a way in which, like, I guess at the beginning it kind of like makes you think of him as a bastard for putting his family through this, because eventually, you know, they just assume that he was kidnapped or went missing or was murdered, and like his body was like buried somewhere and they don't know about. So yeah, you know, the first half of the movie, you kind of like, at least for me, I kind of considered him to be some crazy bastard. But then in the latter half of the movie, actually kind of started to empathize with him a little bit, just, you know, because, you know, he goes off on these different monologues about society and the whole 9-to-5 thing, the fact that, you know, most people spend their entire lives essentially never really living, never really appreciating each and every moment that they're alive. And so yeah, it's a very interesting movie. I don't want to give away too much more about it, but I really liked it. And I feel it's a shame that more people aren't aware of this movie. I mean, I don't know. I accidentally came across it, and you know, if you want to check out the trailer for it, I'll provide a link to that where you can check out that. The only thing I didn't like the ending. It's another one of those movies that leaves things open to interpretation. But then when you think about it, like when I thought about it, I thought that, you know, I couldn't really imagine how it should have ended. And so, yeah, I guess overall, I would give it a rating of definitely 8 out of 10, maybe even as high as 8.5, but definitely a solid 8 out of 10. So, yeah, that'll do it for my review of Wakefield. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. As always, till next time, don't forget, keep it real, keep on rocking, and peace.